Humans have always been explorers at heart, and so we are naturally inquisitive about the world around us, and we want to know how things work. This inquisitive nature has led us to ask questions like, how did life begin? Or are there other intelligent beings out there in the universe? But we can also turn our inquisitive nature inwards and ask ourselves, what are we? And where did we come from? As humans, it's pretty obvious that we aren't like any other species on the planet today. We build civilizations. We construct megastructures, and we create technology that automates our everyday lives. So if we are indeed unique, then why do we feel like there is this huge gap in our memory, this missing piece of the puzzle when it comes to human history? Why does it seem like we forgot something really important? When we look back over the history of mankind, we see that even though we have certainly accomplished some remarkable things, we've also had some serious setbacks along the way. There are gaps in our history where entire civilizations have vanished without a trace. This doesn't just apply to the many ancient civilizations that we have found evidence of across the globe, but it also applies to our own recent past. As recently as 12,000 years ago, around 80% of the human population lived in what is now Siberia. But today, there are only around 70 different indigenous tribes, remaining in the area with a combined population of less than 1 million people. What happened to the rest of them? Did they all just suddenly decide to pick up and move somewhere else? Or could there be something more sinister at play here? The fact that we do unknow the answers to these questions can make us feel rather powerless and small in the grand scheme of things. It can almost make it seem like we are nothing more than just a blip in the timeline of this Earth. But what if this isn't true? What if there is more to us than just flesh and bone? What if we have an intrinsic connection to this planet and to the universe itself? Could it be that we are actually more than we think we are? Some believe that we may have once been more advanced than we are today, and that we may have forgotten this due to some traumatic event in our past. This idea is known as the fallen angels theory. Now, this is often confused with the theory that angels came down to Earth and mated with humans to produce offspring. However, this theory differs slightly from that one. The fallen angels theory states that the human race was once highly advanced and peaceful until a cataclysmic event caused this collective amnesia. This event would have been so devastating that it literally wiped clean our memories and pushed us back thousands, perhaps even millions of years in terms of development. But what exactly caused this mass forgetting? Well, according to some, it was the gods themselves. There are numerous myths and legends from cultures all around the world that tell stories of a time when the gods walked among men. In the beginning, they say the gods were kind and benevolent, helping the humans to flourish and grow. But as time went on, they became bored of humanity and decided that they wanted something more. They wanted power and control. And so they began to deceive humans into worshiping them as deities. This deception worked for a while, but eventually the truth came out and the humans realized that they had been duped. Enraged by this betrayal, the gods were furious and they unleashed their wrath upon the humans, completely wiping them out except for a few chosen ones who were deemed worthy. These survivors then went on to tell the stories of the great betrayal and the subsequent destruction. But over time, these stories became muddled and confused, turning into the myths and legends that we know today. But there is another theory as to why we have forgotten our true potential. According to some, we didn't forget it at all. It was taken from us by an external force. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence for this theory comes from the ancient Sumerians. The Sumerians were a Mesopotamian civilization that flourished in the 4th millennium, BC. They are considered to be one of the first advanced civilizations in human history, and they made many significant contributions to science, mathematics, and culture. However, the Sumerians weren't alone in this part of the world. There were several other civilizations that lived in Mesopotamia, including the Akkadians, the Babylonians, and the Assyrians. And each of these civilizations had their own pantheon of gods and goddesses. But despite their differences, there was one thing that all of these pantheons had in common. They all believed in a supreme being that was responsible for creating the world. This supreme being was called by different names, but they were all basically the same: God, Yahweh, Allah, Brahma, Vishnu, etc. This is interesting because it suggests that these civilizations may have all descended from a common ancestor, a civilization that believed in a single God. But if this is true, then where did this belief come from? Well, according to some, it came from the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki were a group of extraterrestrials who were said to have visited Earth in the distant past. They are said to have been incredibly advanced technologically, and they used their knowledge to enslave the humans and force them to work in the gold mines. But as time went on, the humans rebelled and the Anunnaki were forced to flee. Before they left, however, they took with them the humans' memories of their true potential. This is why we have forgotten our true potential. It wasn't because we lost it or because the gods took it away. It was stolen from us by an alien race that wanted to keep us as their slaves. Some believe that the Anunnaki were actually gods and that they are still watching us from afar, waiting for the day when they can come back and claim what is rightfully theirs. If this is true, then it explains a lot about the world we live in today. It explains why we have so much suffering and why there is so much evil in the world. It was all done on purpose by the Anunnaki to keep us weak and under their control. But there is hope. According to some, the Anunnaki will eventually return to Earth, and when they do, they will bring with them the memories that they stole from us. When this happens, we will finally remember who we are, and we will be able to reclaim our rightful place as masters of this planet. So what do you think? Is there any truth to the fallen angels theory? Do you believe that we have forgotten our true potential or even our true origins? Perhaps you believe that we have always been this way and that there was never a time when we were more advanced. Let us know your thoughts. But before we go, as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.